on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:37 here. We're getting it done on O'Connor and Company all morning long. Coming up at 8:05, we're going to speak with our friend KT McFarland, latest out of the Biden administration's betrayal of Israel. Also, 8:35, we're going to speak with Nick Minnock. He's going to give us the latest on how that deal fell apart in Alexandria to bring the Caps and Wizards across the river. That's all coming up. Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Schlapp. And Mercedes, earlier this morning it was revealed that I was one of my first jobs out of high school, during high school, was as a dancer in the parade at Disneyland.
A dancer
in Anaheim.
But it's not a dancer like in tight, glittery.
No, I was.
Clothes.
I was.
No.
It was
a character.
I was a character dancer in the cosplay, but I did dance. We're playing on X. People are trying to guess what character I played, and we've got some very good guesses. We'll reveal who won a little later in the program. But somebody guessed Snow White, and somebody guessed Tweedledee and or Tweedledum. I just want you to know.
No, they're too short.
That's unkind and not fun.
Unkind.
Well, it actually is funny.
Is that harassment?
It's pretty funny, actually. But let's move on to the serious business of the aftermath of the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge as a result of that collision from a Singapore freight ship. Andy Harris is the congressman, Republican congressman from Maryland for District 1, and he joins us now. Congressman, thanks for joining us, sir.
Good morning, Larry.
There's so many questions to ask you. The first is this, and I don't understand this. Pete Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation, spoke about this yesterday, although he didn't have many answers, of course. It was just sort of bromides and platitudes. But Joe Biden immediately and Transportation Secretary Buttigieg echoed that the federal government will pay for this entire reconstruction of the bridge. After the derailment in Ohio and East Palestine, the company that owned the train was blamed for it. And the federal government's position is they should pay for all of this. This shouldn't come out of taxpayer dollars. Why aren't we treating this Asian shipping company in the same way? This is their fault. Shouldn't they be paying for this?
Well, it's not only the Asian shipping company, but it's Maersk, Danish-owned. They're the ones that chartered. They're the largest shipping container company in the world.
Yeah, last I checked, these international shipping companies have a lot of money.
Absolutely. They have deep, deep pockets. I have no idea why they're not talking about an all-out effort. Look, I think they ought to subcontract Letitia James on this one. If she can get $400 million for nothing, for a nothing case, she should get billions on this one.
Well put. Listen, I know one thing that you're most concerned about is how quickly we can get commuters back and this very vital part of the Baltimore Beltway and, frankly, the entire Eastern Corridor here in terms of people being able to traverse north and south along the Atlantic corridor. What are you trying to achieve here with regard to cutting through the red tape and expediting this reconstruction process?
Well, that's what we have to do. We have to make sure that we have no red tape in place because there's going to be lots of red tape. Because, for instance, now they're talking about, a completely redesigned bridge. This will take years because you'll have all kinds of environmental studies need to be done, et cetera. We need to cut through all that. Honestly, it ought to be pretty a simple replacement, perhaps a slight widening, build a little redundancy into the infrastructure. And we should have basically almost no environmental protection requirements because we're just replacing something that's already been there. But you're going to see this fight go on for years unless Congress steps in and puts its foot down and says, look, on critical infrastructure, you're going to have to just waive a lot of the environmental regulations, a lot of the labor law regulations that increase the cost of the project, for instance. I mean, it's nice the president offered, taxpayer dollars for it, but when you add project labor agreements, you have Davis-Bacon requirements, you're increasing the cost of this probably 20-30% above what it could be built for.
Yeah, we saw Congress, they bipartisanly passed the unanimous resolution to spend $250 million to rebuild that bridge and looking to streamline these agencies to build it quickly. Let me ask you, you talk about critical infrastructure. What is truly the cost? I don't even know if you can put it in numbers of what we've seen with the collapse of the Baltimore Bridge between, from an economic standpoint, obviously. What do you think the cost will be?
The impact.
So I think that the first thing obviously is you got to clear the debris out of the shipping channel, reopen the port, but that's a separate issue. The question is, why do you need that bridge link in the Northeast corridor? And the answer is to get hazardous material transported up and down the eastern seaboard, because they can't go through the tunnels, and going through town or around the Beltway is a long reroute. So it's really just to make sure that we have a hazardous material shortcut across the Baltimore harbor. But again, we're not going to have that for, I would suspect this will take at least 5 years. If you cut through all the red tape, it'll be 5 years. If you put the red tape in place, it's 10 to 12 years.
Wow. Can you also clear up, because I'm getting mixed messages here. When this was first built, it was a state project, but then it's being referred to as I-695. Is all of the Baltimore Beltway considered a part of the interstate system, or is this leg of it still under the state control?
No, it's all part of the interstate system. Okay. That is part of I-695. And again, over the years, the assumption has been that the interstate system is going to be fully funded by the federal government. Again, look, I don't have a problem as long as we have, gone after the shipping companies, as long as we've gone after the maritime companies that have caused this problem, and then as long as we've brought down the cost again by not inflating the cost through federal labor regulations that greatly inflate the cost of projects. Let's go ahead and get it done. But this is going to take years and years. Anyone who thinks that this is going to be done before the end of this decade, I'll take that bet.
Wow. And
what?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Larry. What could the shipping vessel? What could they have done? Was there any way to avoid this?
Well, it almost doesn't. It almost doesn't make a difference. The fact of the matter is that it was their ship. If you run your car into something, if you lose control, your engine fails or something, you're still responsible for it. It's your car. You damaged something, and the shipping container the same. Now there is this little quirk that's come up. Is they suspect it might have been clogged fuel filters from quote tainted fuel. Well, now you have a fuel company potentially involved in this as well. So this is going to play out in the courts for years and years and years. You can just see this coming.
What you can also see coming is the name of this bridge. There's a reason why it was named Francis Scott Key Bridge. It's actually just about 100 yards away from the spot that Francis Scott Key was standing on the ship watching the bombardment of Fort McHenry, where he penned our Star-Spangled Banner. And, of course, anybody from our colonial days, especially a person of European descent, is problematic, Congressman Harris. And they're already saying, well, whatever the new bridge is, it's not going to be called Francis Scott Key Bridge. Are you going to try to make the case for Francis Scott Key and the heritage not just of Maryland, but of our nation?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to look at a Star-Spangled Banner, go down to verse 4 and go, oh, that's racist. In fact, I thought that's why Pete Buttigieg came up to Baltimore, was to just call it a racist bridge and, declare that it needed to be renamed something else.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't put it past them. And, well, I'm glad you're there fighting as well and making sure that we get it done right. Good luck. Good luck with this, and keep us updated, because I know you're going to meet up with much opposition on every aspect of this reconstruction, Congressman Harris.
Sure will. Thank you.
It is 7:45. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the 5, Steve Hirshorn is in the Hadid carpet cleaning.